Hello, fellow gamers. I'm Gloryhoundd, and this is the lovely DrGloryhogg here with me today to talk about
Kickstarters.
Kickstarters, not GameFound this week. Kickstarters.
4 new Kickstarters.
They're all of them are doing really, really well. I'm really excited to talk about all of these. Like, we have a video game based one. We have like a Euro game style one. We have the Valor and Villainy, which I'm really, really excited about talking about because I love Valor and Villainy so much. And what was the last one?
Forests of Pangaia.
Oh, the Scarface. The Scarface one as well. And hello to our chat today. It looks like we have Petter in chat. Battlecry. Skybound Games. Hello. Thanks so much for showing up, Skybound. Jolly Lumpy. How are all of you doing? What are you most excited about on Kickstarter or GameFound, really? Like, this is a tough week because there's so many good games on Kickstarter this week, and then we just previewed a bunch of games from GameFound next week, and I feel like I have to, like, divide my finances at this point. I have, like, my Kickstarter budget and my GameFound budget.
Right. Yeah, it's a really tough call to make, like, what you want to do with your money.
It's very tough. Hello, Joe Ferguson. How are you doing? Hello, Andrew, coming in. All right, let's get started, Doctor. First up, we have Siege 6, the board game. This is by Mythic Games. It's going to be for 2 to 4 players. It lasts about 60 minutes. And in this game here, this is based off of a video game. I believe almost everybody knows it's probably based off of a video game at this point. But this is based off of a video game. When you're playing a 2-player game, you're going to be playing the opposition side or the side gaining entrance. You're going to be doing a 4-player game with teams. What would you describe this game as, Doctor?
It's a big-time tactical game. I mean, it's not really any different than something like Tiny Epic Tactics or even like Super Fantasy Brawl. It's really
you think so? Yeah,
it's a skirmish game because you've got an attacker, a defender. You've got like capture the flag, defuse the bombs, find the hostage. It's very much a scenario-based, strategic tactical game.
What video game is this based off of? Madden? Exactly, Petter.
There's a much more right there with a grenade.
Volatile version of Madden.
Oh my God, he just broke that wall.
I really, really like the fact that Mythic Games actually put, like, you can get all these things in the game. So the little cameras, all the little tables and everything.
Why
I love that.
Laying down, Mommy?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's okay. He got back up. It's okay.
It's fine. This is fine. This is fine.
That dude shoot through that hole in the wall like there isn't like there's no roof and other walls, and he decided to shoot through that one hole. Like,
that's how they gain entrance. So there's a few different ways that you can gain entrance into here, and I kind of like that about this game because
well, you can bust the wall, which is nice.
Right.
You're not stuck by walls like normal games. You can just explode a wall.
And you can like do a tactical Mission Impossible down thing from the roof and stuff, I think, too. So, like, you can land at certain parts of the game, like...
I've heard there's an expansion where you can actually tunnel your way up like a tremor.
Oh, really?
And just burst out of the ground.
And then burst out like a giant worm, and we're like, Rah!
Yeah, but with, like, guns. You can come down, like, Boondock Saints style and just come spinning down with rope from the ceiling and just fire. Oh, hi, kitty. You can do all of that. All of that's allowed in this game, I believe.
So, I want to know in chat, who here has played 6 Siege?
Or any of the Tom Clancy...
First-person shooter sort of things. Has anybody actually played these games? Because have you? Which one did you play?
I played one of them once.
One of them once. Okay.
One time.
What did you think? Because with this game here, you know, whenever you get a board game that has a video game theme to it, I'm always curious to see what the video game people think of this particular game. Because as I'm going and where the company draws the line with making it easy enough that video gamers are going to get into the game versus board gamers who are in love with board gaming playing the game, you know?
Right. That's tough. So what I remember playing about the video game, which I thought was the most interesting, is that you were controlling a whole squad of people. So it wasn't like just a standard first-person shooter. The one I had played, at least, was you were trying to tell everybody else in their squad what to do. And you could kind of leave them on automated, or you could individually tell them, like, you go over here, you go over here. You do this, you breach the room. So I thought that part was interesting. I think more than people like to admit, theme is a really important part of a board game buying decision, right? So I think you have to really enjoy the theme. And like I did this in real life. Like I used to kick the doors. I
Yeah.
was a door kicker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, based off my size and everything, I was typically the first person in the fire team to kick the door, and then the rest of the team would file in, and I'd come in last. So, I mean, I did this in real life, and so I can see what they are going for. And some of us said, hey, look, there's even a character named after me, Doc.
Oh, there you go.
So I can see what they're going for here. It's interesting. I think the biggest thing for me is, although I like Mythic games in general, I like the big explosive gameplay of a lot of their games like Reichbusters and stuff like that. This is probably too close to home for me. I think the theme is not interesting for me.
Okay. This is also designed by Carlos DQ, who also did Coreball Zero Gravity Sports, which is a highly tactical sort of board game as well, or game as well. So I'm going to start looking up the designers more on these and really going off of those
Seeing, like, other
designers and
things that they've
seeing,
done.
yeah, exactly, seeing where they've come from and kind of how they're approaching these other games. So you know it's going to be highly tactical. And from watching
Stop. We'll just stop right here. I was going to say, this is the best thing, these base rings.
these things,
Yeah, scroll up a little bit because you just lost it for
sorry.
them, I think.
no,
The
those
other way.
rings.
There we go. Yes,
Yeah.
the base rings. I think this is the best thing ever. Having the stupid names on the base ring so I can remember what they're called. Otherwise, I always
You're like
forget.
this guy with the backpack.
Yep. I'll go, oh, this guy with the rifle. Or, oh, yeah, the woman with the two knives. Like, that's how I call all the different characters.
Knifey McKnifertons over there, you know?
Yeah, I think having the names on there is really important.
Okay, so in our chat, let's see here. We played Squad in BNC on
style,
land.
so they
On
would,
land.
yeah,
Oh my
connect all in one room and
goodness.
stuff.
Okay, so haven't played them any type. Oh, it's not my type of video game, says Petter.
Well, here's the thing. I think for this type of game to work, it's gonna live and die based off of the scenarios and what you can do. The one thing I will say about this is it's got terrain, it's got
The
cameras,
terrain looks
it's got
awesome.
different types of cameras, it's got different types of loadouts. These games are, this is not to sound dismissive, I think everyone here knows that I'm an infantry veteran, and so I have some unique thoughts on some of this. It's like Barbie, like the
What?
The M4 is
Hold
like...
on, what? Okay, we're gonna have to get in. What is this?
All right.
How are you comparing this to Barbie?
The
First off,
AR-15 or the
Okay.
M4 is like a Barbie toy for grown-up men, right? Because you can put like cool handles
What?
on it, you can paint it different colors, you
What?
can add night vision, you can put scopes, you can add red dot to it, you can have flip-up sights, you can add a 203. It's like the
Okay.
accessory heaven. It's like the Barbie dream mansion of rifles, where you can just add all these different cool things. And so
I can just.
I'm
There's no
not
getting
gonna
that out of your
lie.
head. There's no getting that out
Yeah.
of your.
I have
I apologize.
I have a
Thank
lot
you.
of these things, and based off looking at some of the thumbnails that some of the people did for these videos, where they have
Oh my
like they have their
gosh.
pistol and they have like their one gas mask. Listen, I have a full military loadout. I have gas mask, Kevlar. I've got a flak vest. I've got 3 different backpacks. I've got front loaders. I've got magazines. I've got various rifles and pistols, all from my military days, right? I have a ton of that stuff, and I was looking at some of the thumbnails for these videos, and I'm like, should I have dressed up for this and played cosplay? If there's anything that
Yes.
American men want to
Yes.
cosplay as, it's as a soldier. And I get that. I understand the appeal.
Oh.
Hey, I was 18. I went full cosplay. I joined, right? So I definitely did that. I will say, though, that these games live or die off of the terrain, the scenario, and
Yeah.
the loadouts, right?
Right.
And they did a good job of this where
They
every
did.
single scenario you get to pick. Am I taking smoke grenades? Am I taking regular grenades? Am I taking the hammer? Am I taking this rifle or this rifle? I think that adds a lot of gameplay to it, and I think if that's the theme that you enjoy, which 18-year-old me would have been all over this.
Okay.
That's all I played was shooter games like this. 18-year-old me would have been all excited with it. Now that I'm like almost 40-year-old me, and I'm just tired, I want to play with bows and arrows and wizards and like wands and like
Things
weird
that are not
mechs
as real.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I want something to be slightly more abstract or different enough, like far enough away. Like, so Scarface 1920 happened long enough ago that I can feel good running around as a gangster with a Tommy gun.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's
and
going to
lighting
be something
people up,
else that we're going to
right?
talk about.
Or
yeah.
like Lludwik's Labyrinth. I can feel good as a minotaur running around punching people in the face with like brass knuckles with spikes on them.
Mm-hmm.
This is modern day tactical warfare, and I think I've said this, I think I've driven this in. If you want to turn me off from a game, the fastest way to do that is make it modern tactical stuff, because I did it. It was like my job. Like, could you imagine playing a game based around your job? Like, it is weird. I did this stuff, and it
It would be
either
like the
A,
worst
it's either
game ever.
Right,
It's
it's
like Taxes, the game for me.
it's either going to A, put me in kind of a bad mindset thinking about the negatives,
Right.
Or at best, I might get somewhat excited about it, but then it never is going to compare to actually kicking in a door. Like, once you've actually kicked in a door with a rifle, like, there's no amount of rolling a die that's going to compete to that. Even playing, like, paintball,
That's
which
fair.
is the
That's
closest
fair.
you can get to that type of experience, like paintball or airsoft or laser tag, they still don't compare to the real-life adrenaline that you get in that real tactical situation. So just these tactical games are just, like, a big miss for me.
So, in this one here, though, I do like the fact that it has the app where if you are playing, because doing like competitive play on things, if you're matched with somebody who's a beginner and everything, I like the fact that this particular game gives you an app to focus on, okay, are you an intermediate player? Are you a beginner player? And then you're going to be able to change how the scenario works based off of that. And how much time you have to like set up things and do things throughout the game. Like, I really enjoyed that portion. It seems like they were really looking into... It's interesting, because I thought going into this was going to be a game that was going to be a simpler sort of version, a simple tactical game to play, and it was going to be more geared towards
I think this is
the
more
video game people.
I think this is heavier than Reichbusters.
This is a heavy game. This is a heavy tactical sort of skirmish
much more
game
tactical.
based on board gamers. Like, if you are a board gamer, I feel like you're going to like this game more than actually someone who came into video games and trying this board game for the very first time. Just hands down, the setup, the gameplay, how these things work in this, I see how they tried to make it easy for people coming into it, but there's a lot going on in this, you know?
Right, and there's a lot of interesting, like, I think if I could somehow theme it differently, it just might be different. Like, maybe if it was based on off of mining for tin or aluminum, as Studio Landison was saying, maybe that would be better. I don't know. I like that
mining
you
for
can go
tin.
in and you can set up like this perfect siege where you like bust in through the door.
Yeah.
Like, you blow up the door and you go in and no one's in there, which is realistic. That happens, right?
Yeah.
Or you can set up a scenario where you think you found somebody, you get them right, you're like, yeah, I got him, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up on him, and then you find out to decoy and there's not really like a person there, or it's the wrong person or something. So I can see where they're going with this. I think I could very easily recommend this for a lot of people.
Yes.
I 100% don't think I would play it though.
Yeah.
I would try
That's
it.
fair.
It's high on my try. It's definitely not on my buy list though. Because I mean, I would still try it at least once. I just don't see myself enjoying it because of the theme.
Of the theme
but
for you.
I also have a very strong connection to the theme because I went to 2 different war zones. So to play a game based off of that has some of those same things, I just can't do it. If you put this in space like Halo, I'm fine. Like Halo and Destiny, I was always fine
Totally
with it.
fine, yeah.
If you go back and you made this like far enough back, like I can get away with Reichbusters because you're just rolling die and it's kind of a little bit more abstract because there's weird science involved.
And it's like...
I don't even go back and play like the Medal
has
of Honor
like a
games.
fun sort of theme to it.
Because those are so like, they try to make them like hyper realistic, and so I just don't want hyper realistic in that anymore.
Yeah, that's the whole point, is that this one here is more realistic.
I'll play a Warfare game if I'm like jumping in the air or throwing like fireballs or, you know, like Destiny had all that. Like you were doing weird stuff with it, so it was fine.
I really like everything that they put into this game, though. Like, I agree, I like the fantasy aspect of these sort of games better. Like, I like Reichbusters because it's like that super heroic, high-powered, like, fantasy stuff
Nazis
that's
are
happening.
weird. It's
yeah.
like, it's like mutant Nazis.
It's like a Weird West game or something
Yeah.
almost, except it's, you know, military and weird science
and to be
and
fair,
stuff.
it's far enough away that I don't feel a personal connection to that war.
I think, though, that people who enjoy the video game are going to get into this and be like, holy crap, like, there's a lot of stuff, like,
I think this
to
is
do. The setup was, like, what, I watched it was 15 minutes or something like that.
Well, that's nice, though, because it's like you've got 15 minutes to set up. So it's supposed to give you that rushed feeling of like you only have so long to set up your siege.
No, setup is shorter than that, because if you click on the little app and everything and you go to like, I think it's like 1 minute or 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where you're trying to set up all your stuff or pick your people and stuff like that.
I think the defender gets more time.
Yeah.
And then when you're the attacker, you get less
That's the
time.
coolest part,
So you
though.
have like that rush feeling of setting it up and not knowing 100% what's inside. Because how do you make that? How do you make that experience of kicking open a door and not knowing what's on the other side of the room? I think that's the only way you could really do it without like blindfolding the other person or something and having them like decide where they're going to stack up. Like, oh, okay, I just thought of a good way I would do it. I would actually have the other person, I would set it up, have the defender set up, and then the attacker has to declare which wall they're going to stack on ahead of time. Flip that piece of paper upside down, And then when it's all set up and everything, they flip it over, they put their team there, and then they go in. And so everything would be very much like on the fly, last minute. So you can't really...
Studio Lanniston says, same mundane themes don't interest me so much. I think this is, like I said, if you are interested in those first-person shooter style games, this is going to be a really, really fun game to add to your collection here because it has all this like really super cool stuff. The miniatures look amazing. I really like the timing based upon the app in the game and everything. It looks...
I think it's going to do exactly what they want it to do.
Right,
I think you just have to be into it.
Right, and if your video game's coming over to the board game, I think that you really want to look and see, okay, am I going to be interested in probably like a medium weight sort of skirmishy game? Because it's not so tactical that I saw that you had like different levels of terrain and stuff that you have to worry about, minusing and plussing from rolls and stuff. But it is tactical enough that you are worrying about line of sight, you're worrying about where you're dropping things, like there's still that spatial awareness, you know what I'm saying?
Right, that makes sense.
And there's like more stuff, like you can use stuff in your banks and everything, so like, I feel like it's in that medium sort of range here. Chat, are you backing this game? I want to know because, man, this is a very specific sort of game, specific sort of style game. The base price on this is $69 too, but...
Which is actually good, because a lot of the other games we have are much higher.
Right?
Now, there is a huge all-in. That's like a couple hundred.
I know. The all-in is like...
There's a lot of stuff, though.
That's one of the things, though. Like
these video game IPs always do that.
You kind of want to go all in, though, to get all the stuff, right? $199, because you're going to get all sorts of cool stuff. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3. Like,
I feel like this game puts me in a weird position because I want to recommend it for other people that enjoy that theme.
This style, yeah. Style and theme.
Right, but I just don't enjoy the theme as much. But, I mean, I would still try it at least because Mythic has wowed me before with other things that I wasn't 100% sure on. That's very true.
Mythic does put out some really great games. So Petter says pass for me. Jelly Lumpy says nope. Battlecry says pass. Looks like we don't have a whole bunch of Siege, Six Siege.
The vast majority of the people that are part of the pack, I think, lean more towards like that fantasy-based stuff, or science, or techno, or you know what I'm saying. I don't think anyone's really leans hard into like that real-world application. And besides that, as we're watching this, like I was seeing a thing where they're talking about claymores and stuff, and it was Quackalope, and I love Quackalope, right? Jesse's a good guy. But he was asking Board Game Co. like how the claymore works, and he's like, okay, well the claymore works where it's like a line, and you put a marker on the other side, and if anybody crosses that line, they get hit. And I was thinking to myself, first off, that's the exact opposite of how the claymore works. The claymore just sprays out.
You just have too much information.
To the front, right? But then the best part was Jesse said, but I can cross over this line, right? And then Alex had to say, no, anybody cross over this line is gonna get hit by that claymore. It's a bomb that throws BBs out. Like it shreds things. That's all a claymore's whole purpose is to destroy everything in front of it to maximum effect. So yeah, like in a board game form, I think that type of information, like I've fired off a claymore before. I think having that type of background would make it weird to play the board game.
You're not backing this game, right?
No, not at this point.
I don't think I'm going to back this game either, but I do want to mention that they're also offering like skins for the game on this here, which is really, really cool.
And
I like that
integration in here. Did you notice they took the Soka
I saw that. That was very, very
Super
cool.
Fantasy Brawl and added in there, which, I mean, I love Super Fantasy Brawl, so I think that is kind of a cool little crossover if you're into it.
I think, though, yeah, if you are interested in those types of games, that this might be the game for you because it seems pretty solid on the gameplay and everything. And it is, I really like the fact that it has the app and that you're able to enter from different areas. I love the 1v1 sort of portion of it where you have two asymmetrical teams sort of going at each other with things like that stuff super interests me. I think if you were more into that stuff, I would be more engaged in getting a game like this personally because I do love these types of games.
I would have been 100% into this. It's just not for me now.
Joe Ferguson says, pass. This game needs some aliens or orcs or something.
Hard agree. I agree, Joe. I mean, for me, that's what's going to make it enjoyable. I mean, if you just put a ranger there and the ranger kicked open a dungeon door and was firing arrows into the room, I'd be like, yeah, this is great. I want to see some Legolas getting in there and tearing it up. But you add in real-world stuff, and it's just too real.
Next up, we have Forests of Pangaia. And this is by Pangaia Games. I hope I'm saying that right. Pangaia, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, this is for 2 to 4 players, should last about 60 minutes. This actually reminds me a lot of photosynthesis.
Okay.
Like a lot. The fact that you have little player boards here where you have seeds and trees and stuff, and then you're trying to get things off of those boards and put them on the main board here, and you're kind of trying to do this like area control sort of struggle with things. You have your spirit animal that drops off seeds as you go around. I really, really like the tree portion here where you stack trees. That part's really cool. Like the pieces in this thing are probably, I wish that they would have done pieces like this in
photosynthesis.
In photosynthesis, honestly.
So can I get a flip of the camera? I feel like I need to.
Oh,
so
gosh.
here's the things for this game. So some funny things and some things I noticed. One, this is a game that has such a good production value that makes me want to play it more than I think if it was just cardboard. If it was cardboard, it would be like 100% a pass.
100% you would be like, because I don't want to play a game around trees.
It's abstract. Like I think that's usually a big pass for me. That's not usually things that I super enjoy, right? But there are some interesting things in this campaign. One, the deer meeple, the spirit of Gaia, looks 100% like that stag from Shadow and Bone.
Okay.
100%.
Shadow and Bone.
So that was exciting for me. I remember mentioning that because we were talking about it in Discord. I think Petter brought it up or somebody brought it up, and I was like, "That's the deer from Shadow and Bone." And I showed the GIF, and it's like sitting there. It's like, anyways. Shadow and Bone.
Things you miss out in Discord.
There's a lot of things that get shared in Discord for sure. Two, here's the other thing. Your spirit of Gaia, if I understand correctly how it works, is it goes around and it collects seeds and they can drop seeds. So from what I know about biology, right? I paid attention to Biology 101. You've got your spirit of Gaia, right? So pretend this is your spirit of Gaia. It's walking along, and I know how they redistribute seeds. And it's eating the seeds, and then after a short period of time, it gets to a new area, and then it drops the seeds off via nature's depository, if you will. So that's all I could think about when they said your spirit of Gaia drops seeds in new locations. I'm thinking, that's deer poop. That deer's pooping.
No,
that's how this whole thing is happening.
No, you don't deserve this front camera.
The magic of poop.
No.
All right. And then the last thing, the very last thing is when you watch this video, I had to watch it twice because at one point in time they say wind, thunder, science when they were looking at these little tokens. And I thought to myself, that is not the way to summon Captain Planet. But the Captain Planet that must exist, the Captain Planet that must exist in Germany is got to be so much cooler than our stupid Captain Planet. Fire, earth, wind, heart. Their Captain Planet in Germany, wind, thunder, science? What are the other two? What are the other two? It's got to be amazing. Their Captain Planet's like Nikola, it's like Tesla running around, like Nikola Tesla running around doing stuff. Saving the planet with thunder and science?
If Tesla was the Captain Planet.
Come on!
Like Germany's Captain Planet would
How
be very
amazing
cool,
would that be? How amazing is Germany's Captain Planet?
So your takeaways from this are spiritual
Captain
deer
Planet.
poops and
Yes.
Tesla Captain Planet.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, if it was a cocklebird, it would catch onto the fur and then eventually fall off. See, Pepper paid attention about how seeds are spread around. The spirit of Gaia looks like some type of stag, and I know how a stag distributes seeds. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. Heart is mind control. Come on, that is awesome.
It only works, though. It only works a little bit.
Here's your spirit deer right here.
It's interesting. I think the only way for me to get around area control is if there's another mechanic kind of built into it. So like Dwellings has like that tableau building.
Okay.
Path of Light and Shadow has deck building. There's other things involved. So this is 100% a try for me. I'm willing to give it a shot, but I'm not willing to drop the cash on it right away. I think it just depends on who you are as a gamer. And area control abstract games are just never going to ring true. I can't think of a single area control abstract game that we have that I'm like excited to play. If that makes sense.
Aqualina?
I'll play Aqualina.
Aqualin. But are you excited to play it?
No, that's your game. You love that game. I get pissed off in that game because you always like move my stupid red crab and all of a sudden I lose like 90 points. One of the elements for the German Captain Planet should be strudel.
Strudel, yes, baked goods.
Mining
absolutely.
tin. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff. Actually, it could be time travel because I watched that Netflix series Dark, and that was a German television show, and dang.
So good.
Time travel,
so
brah.
Good.
So good.
All right. Well,
So what are your thoughts on this? Because this is more your jam, if you will, your strudel, if you will.
It looks gorgeous, first off. And I think that's kind of everybody's first view on it is like, it just looks amazing. I love the way the trees stack up. It looks fantastic with that. I would have to go back and play photosynthesis. And I know some people really liked photosynthesis personally, but I just did not.
You didn't love it?
I did not like photosynthesis. And I'm trying to remember what it was. There was like some mechanic in it that I was just really angry about. And I want to say it was in photosynthesis. It was maybe like the dropping of seeds and leaves or whatever it was, seeds, I think, to grow new trees. And I think that this may fix that in a little way, in the fact that you have a spirit animal that travels around. You can go to new areas, whereas
right,
like
it's not
photosynthesis,
just off the trees.
Yeah, is like once you're stuck, you're just stuck, and like that's it.
Because that deer goes in like a little pond and then somehow fires off seeds into all the different like areas next to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to discuss how it fires off those seeds, but it just
pew, 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 that's what everywhere. It was probably. You got screwed out of sunlight, exactly, and so. Yeah. If you got built into a corner and maybe you didn't know what you were doing, or you just happened to be built into a corner because a bunch of people got next to you for some reason, like your points in that game were just cut very drastically because of like one mistake in a round that was early. So like if there was one early mistake in a round, like the entire game was just like cut in half for you.
Well, I don't think you'll have that issue as much with this one.
Right, because you're traveling around and stuff.
Once again, I just think it's a theme that's not as exciting to me personally. I do like what Battlecry says. It's ironic that a game about like Gaia and the planet took trees to turn them into little trees. You know, which is very ironic.
How dare you? You can't mention that.
It's a little ironic. So where does this fall for you? Like I said, this is another try for me, which means like I don't hate it, but it's not something that I would go out of my way to buy. I would play it if somebody offered.
The starting price for this is $59. The designer on this game is Thomas Franken, which I didn't see anything that he has recently created. It's just, I don't know if this is the only game that they've created, and this is from a first-time publisher.
But this is actually what Kickstarter's for. In case anyone forgot.
100% what Kickstarter's for, everyone. This is it. If you are backing this game, I recommend paying attention to those times that they have listed here. When do they have the time listed here? Because it's probably going to take much longer than expected. August of 2021.
I'm going to say that all games are going to take much longer than they expect.
August of 2021? We're in 2021, right?
Wait, is that the standard? Or are you just looking
hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me scroll down. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm doing the wrong thing, everyone. I'm a noob, okay? I just met Kickstarter. It's a new thing. There we go. March of 2022. Okay, that's better.
A lot better.
So, I would hope it would get...
The shipping is going to be what stops everybody.
It's first time. So, I mean, you're just going to have to go ahead like 3 to 4 months at least on this and figure, okay, it's going to come out then. Especially because it's doing really well.
Already in. So maybe Jolly Lumpy knows something we don't know.
Jolly Lumpy. Well, Jolly Lumpy got to actually play it on... So, via their Discord, and then they got to play it on TTS. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's amazing. There's actually, I will say, there's a lot of Discords, or a lot of companies are doing Discord servers and then offering playtests and stuff on Tabletop Simulator.
Which is fantastic.
I think that's really good.
Right?
Like, I need to jump in on some of those myself, personally.
Let's see here. Photosynthesis, the fire expansion. Halfway through the game, the forest burns down. That would actually be amazing.
That's the
I would be down
version.
For that. Yeah. You just start tearing up trees. That would be terrible. All right, so on this game here, I would love to back this game. I know I was kind of felt bad about photosynthesis, but I went into that game really excited about it, and I feel like this kind of fixes some of the things, and I'd be interested to know and play more.
That's fair.
Doctor?
I'm at a try.
Try before you buy?
Chat? Yeah, I would try it.
I know Jolly Lumpy's already in. What do you all think of this? I feel like the... What is it, $59 that you're going to put into this? Like, definitely, that's nothing with all these trees and stuff like that.
And the deluxe is like $6, $7 more.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing.
And you're going to get, like, wooden, I think it is, like, wooden pieces for, like, the elements and everything. So that's not a bad deal. If you're going to get it, you might as well go deluxe.
Yeah, go deluxe if you are going to get it because, yeah, it's that $7 more on here, and then you're going to get all the premium sort of bits and stuff like that, which are just cuter. Like, if you're going to be using them, why not? This is what Kickstarter's for, everyone. Kohaku is peeled, only 35 minutes for the last stack. Oh.
Peeling the tile, yeah, peeling the tiles.
The peels on those are just...
But you have to, because those acrylic tiles, if they were scratched, would be so sad.
Very true. I appreciate the acrylic tile concern going into it with unscratched tiles, but peeling it was rough.
It's fair.
It was rough. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Valor and Villainy, Lludwik's Labyrinth. This is by Skybound Games. It is for 1 to 6 players, should last about 90 to 150 minutes. This is a standalone game that you can also go ahead and convert to the original Valor and Villainy, so you can use some of the heroes and stuff like that in the other one.
Right, there's some cross-play availability.
This changes the game a little bit. Okay, so first off, this is by the same designer who made Valor and Villainy. Secondly, I really love Valor and Villainy. I really, really love that game. It was so much fun.
It was in your top 10.
It was. And this one here is expanding upon this idea and making the world, I think, a little bit more funny. Like, it's making... It already had, like, a very cute theme placed upon it, and it was fun and interesting to play the original Valor and Villainy. This one here, I think, is upping that level to making this, like, a very silly sort of dungeon crawl game.
Right, and it was supposed to be. I mean,
right.
It was always, I mean, it always had, like, funny, punny names for all the different, like, skeletons and everything, where they'd have, like,
this is, like, owning
names.
it. Like, that was... The original Valor and Villainy was like, oh, this is fun and silly. Yeah, exactly. And this is like owning it, going all in, going, oh no, we're gonna make this ridiculous and it's gonna be amazing. So, Doctor, what are your thoughts on this?
So this is a perfect example of when a second game comes out in a series and you just want to trade the first game in for this game. I think so. The first game was a 1 versus many, right? And it was kind of like they were standalone adventures, right?
Right.
You played it once and then next time you play it again, it's completely different, right?
Right.
And it's kind of a long game, right? It is a longer game, but it's in that kind of goofy Dungeons and Dragons style-esque, if you will, but kind of like punny.
Yeah.
This is campaign driven with
Yes.
some legacy style elements.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a dungeon crawl with, like I said, that campaign. So this is 100% something that I lean more towards this. The 1 versus many was fine, but when we were playing it, especially at smaller player counts, it seemed like it took a while. And when we played it at like 4 or 5, that took most of our game night. It took us like hours. Now, to be fair, we were playing with people who don't game a lot, and there was a lot of back and forth, and kids coming in and talking and doing all these different things. So there was a lot of things going on. I'm more excited about this project than that project was. Like, that one sat just outside of my top 10, where it was in your top 10. You like that
1 versus many.
Right, you like that 1 versus many more than I do. I like the co-op. What I like about this is that there's a $30 expansion that allows you to play the first Valor and Villainy as a co-op.
Yeah.
Or a solo, scenario. And then that also makes it so you can play this new one as a 1 versus many option also. So it makes them completely cross-compatible where you can do it as both. It's a $30 add-on that does that, but it comes with some extra boards and some extra things. I think it comes with some extra miniatures and everything. I'm 100% want this one.
You 100% want to play this one.
I think I like the campaign story behind things a little bit more than you do.
Yeah.
More than just the one-off games. If it's a one-off game, I like them to be faster.
Okay.
Like 2 hours or less, right? If it's going to be, and I prefer almost closer to 1 hour. If it's going to be a campaign, though, I'm okay with it taking hours because I feel like I'm going to have more time to experience this. My greatest concern was that when I played as Scrut, and when I played as my Barbarian, and when I played as the little bard when we played it the next time, I don't feel like I got enough time with them. Even though I spent 4 hours, I didn't feel like I got to develop my character
enough
the way I really wanted
for it to be like satisfying the way you wanted.
Multiple scenarios and doing things. I felt like I got to just touch on them and enjoy them, but not in the way that I personally like, which is having this whole thing. I'm the type of person that I think I'm at the point now where instead of a movie, I'd rather have a Netflix season, right? Where I can just watch hours of content. Like, if I could take Lord of the Rings, I know it's 3 movies, but I would have a whole Netflix season on each individual movie. I would make them longer.
So
I would make Lord of the Rings longer somehow.
How dare you? It would take forever. Skybound is in chat, so if anybody has any questions about the game, make sure and go ahead and leave them in the comments so Skybound can go ahead and talk with you about that. Now, Wow, all the stuff with this game. I'm loving all the stuff, that extra stuff with this game. You can see right here the components, the extra components that they've added in with the gems.
That is a different level, though. That is a deluxe level, plastic level you can get.
But
it is nicer.
It is really nice. And who all has actually played the original Valor and Villainy? Because
I have. Like
Valor,
4 or 5 times.
Valor and Villainy is a fantastic way to introduce people into this sort of RPG scenario, or people who are interested in these fantasy-based games and scenario-based games, and getting people into it, because all of the equipment and how you're leveling up your characters and XP is like so simple visually to see on the boards, and it's so perfect in the way that you get XP and you add things and you get items and you add things and you can upgrade your characters and you go along. Like, I really love all of the mechanics that they put into Valor and Villainy with that. I feel like it's something that when we did bring it over to a couple's house, they have a kid that's probably, maybe 7 or so, and
somewhere in there.
The kid was able to easily go into the game, who plays some board games but not like super in depth like we do, and was easily able to pick up that game and know what's going on and be able to play it, just because visually it was so simple to get into with that. Does that make sense? Like, I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was there. I remember.
Well, I appreciate it whenever there's games like that. So, I mean, if you compare this to Siege 6 and the setup and all this other stuff that you have to do, this is so much simpler.
Well, and it's just kind of a little bit more lighthearted, which makes it easier to get into, right? There's a reason why Munchkin is a gateway game, right? People call it a gateway game, or the game that introduced you to the hobby. This kind of punniness, like, you know, you're fighting against like this kind of like evil pig demon thing. It's just kind of fun and lighthearted.
Right?
There's no like, you're not gonna feel bad whenever you're whooping up on them. You're not gonna be like, did I make the right choice? It's not Tainted Grail where you're gonna feel like every decision you have has this huge weight. You're like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna fireball the room, and then they're gonna say, you know that fireball, I didn't ask about how big fireball is. I said I want to fireball the room.
We're just fireballing everything.
You're going to go in there, you're going to fireball the room, which did happen in Valor and Villainy. There was many times where I AoE'd into a area that had our players in it, and sometimes you guys had to die. But you know what? It was for the greater good. Plus, the characters in this are just exciting. Like, they look even cooler. Like, you've got the burglar. He's riding a snail. How sweet is that?
Too.
The artificer. So there's Dregar the Necromancer. You've also got, there's a druid, the female druid that has like, she's like turned into an animal. Like, that was sweet.
Ooh, so Studio Lanniston here says, taught it to my 4-year-old, now 5, and it held his attention the whole 3 hours. First few games did take a while, and he got the idea pretty well, right? Because it was so easy to integrate and show people what they're doing, because you just drop it in little dice slots, so you know exactly how many dice to use for things. Like, it was so simple.
And I think this is even going to be better for me, in my opinion, because it's easier to get people into a co-op game where you're working together too.
Oh, definitely.
Like, now to be fair, we had a co-op portion, right? Like, so me, Dave, Carrie, the kids, we all were working together against you, the bad guy. But I mean, to have you on our team would have been even cooler. Like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to play with you.
I love playing one versus many. Wow. I love playing one versus many,
here's the thing
but...
with one versus many. I love playing one versus many too, also, but only if I'm the one. That's my favorite way of doing it.
Because I like facilitating the whole thing.
You like trying to kill us all.
I do.
Like, I will happily play a multiplayer Magic the Gathering game where it's like Nemesis style, but only if I am the Nemesis. I'm not going to play this where I'm trying to help defeat the bad guy. Like, I want to be the bad guy.
So... Skybound is also saying this is on TTS as well, which I know that they did the original Valor and Villainy on TTS. So I'm really happy to see that they have an example where you can go ahead and play this game as well on TTS. And from the previous one, like, it looks beautiful, super fantastic to get in there and try that.
You know what? Actually, since we have Skybound on the line, where's our copy? I could be at James's house in probably about 6 hours.
Run down there quickly.
Would I drive to his house on the weekend to play this game and take it home with me? I would.
Probably.
So, I'm just saying, talk to the guy.
Jay Peter says, sounds like you revenge firewalls for other games masked under the guise of the greater good.
It was for the greater good,
How did you know?
Jay Peters.
How did you know?
For the greater good.
No, I absolutely love the Valor and Villainy games. Like, they're so good. I can't say enough good about them.
Just
I feel
the
like
opening letter in Valor and Villainy was amazing. Talking about like why you're doing it.
The figures that are put in this game look cooler than the previous game. I love the fact that as you are exploring this game here, you actually have choices that come up in the game. So in a, kind of like a crossroads sort of card, I would imagine, where you go through and you have to pick something, you know, as you go through. That's super fantastic. The types of people that you have here, they did a really good job in the first one, making these people very diverse, the characters.
Right. Well,
making them
were
unique.
all interesting. Like I wanted to play the bard, the barbarian.
Everybody was unique.
There was like a knight. I mean, we played, like I said, like a 4 or 5 player version where we had 4 or 5 good guys, and there were still like characters everywhere. We're like, oh, I'd play that.
So the base pledge on this here is $60, and let's see.
This was $60? No.
The base pledge was $60.
No, you're kidding me.
Right there, boom, retail edition, $60. If you want to dip your toes into it, $60, everyone.
Standees, that makes sense. I'm gonna be honest with you. I almost never look at Skybound's standard because their deluxe is usually
so good.
Like just.
I love these mystery packets right here.
50,000 times better.
Boom, mystery packets.
Because you want to have the figures. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but I mean, half of the fun of this game is these ridiculous figures. And then you can summon like these elemental, like bull creatures.
I love this.
I'm 100% all for that.
This here where you're having to put the dice in there.
Those are elementals you can summon.
Super fantastic. I love it. I love it. And of course, game trays in the box. Game trays inside here. The original Valor and Villainy box here also had game trays in it, and they had all the slots for all the characters and everything. Nothing came out. The game trays was very good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was anything I didn't like about it. I know.
No, you're not allowed to discuss
that. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this does have game trays in it. That's actually just the insert from the last one, so the new one will be different, of course, because this is bigger. This game also, which I don't know if we talked about, has a ton more content than the first one did. Mm-hmm. Just more figures, more things, more cards, more boards. It seems like it just has more.
Oh, at game trays, I'm out. Social media person, shifty. I totally understand, Petter. I totally understand. I really like the fact that they went ahead and made these boards inlaid right here where you actually put the characters in here. I know this is like a super tiny little difference, but this is actually going to save space, I think, right? Because if you have X amount of those boards, and then you can just put the characters in there, as opposed to having a single board for every single, every single character.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I'm kind of digging that. And of course, like, the number one thing that I really want to add to my personal collection is this plastic add-on thing right here.
Pretty sweet. They are
this
sweet.
Plastic add-on thing is amazing because these little gems that you end up putting in your, they count as your dice as you're playing. So you put them in your boards, and that's the colors and types of dice that you're going to be rolling for that specific skill as you go across here.
Can we talk about these green die? Like, we haven't even.
Cool.
You notice there's like a green die thing going
cool.
on, right?
This one?
Yeah.
And plus you have like little XP things. Gosh.
Little +1s. The XPs are the
I love
stars.
this so much. I mean, I don't necessarily need this, but I need this in my life right here. This thing right here, everyone. Let's see. Your Skybound minis aren't just great art. They're excellent minis. As far as casting quality and material, they aren't cheaping out. I completely agree. So
I don't know, studio. I don't know what the green dice are for. They look amazing, though. I know I don't have any green dice. Maybe they're wild. I don't know.
James Hudson always does it right by the components and materials that are put in the game. He works very, very closely with game trays to make sure everything fits very well. Like, there's never been a game, a large box game from Skybound that just doesn't look gorgeous that I can think of. I mean, right? Like, all of them just are the most gorgeous and unique looking games with minis and components. Everything just is so good. Like, you're not going to get cheaped out by them using plastics that aren't right and stuff like that. Like, James does it right.
Yeah, they're always like good chunky miniatures and stuff. They don't come in all warped and everything.
So, chat, are you backing this game? Doctor, are you going to back this game?
I think you're gonna make me, aren't you?
I'm gonna make you back this game. I want this game so bad, everyone.
I kind of knew that was coming. I think out of all the different things that Skybound has done. I think Valor and Villainy is probably your favorite.
It's my favorite.
Like,
hands down favorite.
Like, I love the lore of Tidal
Yeah.
Blades, but I think you like the Valor and Villainy more than anything else at this point.
Absolutely. And they just added more and more elements of things that I love, adding the dungeon crawl sort of scenario-based
They've been doing a bunch
gameplay.
of live plays and play testing and talking things over and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the names they came up for some of these bad guys in here, like there's like the Bone Crew or something, and they have like ridiculous names for all the different skeletons and stuff. It's stupidly funny.
The names are so good. They're so punny and just fantastic. And you get different like items and everything that also are just super cute. They put so much work into it. I love it so much. Like,
yeah. I think I think you
So
talked
much
me into
fun.
it too.
So much
doing a campaign in this
fun.
world would just be a lot of fun too. I feel like it's accessible enough that you could have kids play with you.
oh, absolutely.
But it's going to be in depth enough. Oh, and did we mention that the big boss there, that dude, his arms come off.
are interchangeable. They like change out, right?
Yeah, you can change them out. You can change out his arms. Like that was unlocked, which was just pretty sweet.
What a
all in all.
fantastic game. I want to back this game so bad. We're gonna
I personally would back it for the game trays alone.
Oh, Doctor.
Look at all that organization.
So Jay Peter says they're looking forward to Wonderland's War from Skybound. Absolutely. I think that's stuck in shipping, isn't it, right now?
Two-player, this I think would be a lot better than the other one. Because Valor
Mm-hmm.
and Villainy, the first one, Minions and Mordok, it was one versus many, right? So you played against each other.
Yeah.
So if she was the villain, I was like the good guy. And
Yeah.
I played it with 2 characters, I think, when we did it last time. Because we did a live play of it. You could actually check it out, Andrew. We did a live play of it on our channel.
Yep.
I think this would be better because usually any type of campaign legacy style game, it plays well at 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. It almost never plays badly. You almost run into issues when you have too many players because then everyone wants to split up, or like if you're last in initiative, other people might kill everybody before you get a chance. So I think campaign games tend to play better at lower player counts than just like a one versus mini game. You want to have a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
This I think is going to play even better.
I think so too. I would totally agree with you on that.
wow.
Like when we do the one versus many, it's just always more fun to play with more players with that. But having that group going into the dungeon and exploring things and everything, that just has a different feel to it because then you don't have like that night of animosity between you and the person you're playing, and you're like, why do you
right.
spoil my plans?
When you were doing stuff and you're like, actually you're gonna roll only white dice. And I'm like, oh, cool. I hope you want to walk home.
And takes all that away.
Don't split the party. That's rule 1 through 10, for real.
Oh
For real.
my gosh.
And there's a Valor and Villainy 5th edition variant, which is pretty cool too. You can
Ooh,
play
I
it
didn't
as
see that.
like just a straight up RPG.
Mm.
I think I really like these dungeon crawls
I love
though
that.
in general, and I think this one's nice and lighthearted. I think it's going to kind of go more of the aspect of like Plank Legacy did, where you're just going to be having a good time as you're going through it. You're not going to have like these. Like, well, although I like Grimdark and I like stuff like Tainted Grail, it is nice to sometimes have like a refresher where you feel like you can just kind of play and have a good time and it's funny as you're going through it.
Absolutely. Oh, come on, Glory. You love pounding on Doc. You know,
She does push me into traps a lot.
you know if you're playing together, you're going to casually push him into a trap. Yeah. It was an accident, though, okay? So.
Oh, there you go. They streamed a 2-player game just yesterday. I know they've been
there we
doing a
go.
lot of playthroughs on it.
And
a
let's
lot
see
of, like,
here.
the testing.
Studio Lanniston says, I'm backing at the 135 level. I love Valor and Villainy, right?
Heather's backing it deluxe right now.
Ooh, exciting. Yeah, I'm going to have to say this is
There you
me. This
go.
is probably going to be my burrito for the...
I like Petter's rule. This is just a life rule. Shoot first, reanimate, and ask questions later. There you go.
All right. We already did. Are you backing, right? Backing.
Yeah,
You're backing. Everybody's
you're
backing.
in.
I'm backing. I'm in. Okay. Next up, we have... Oh, and thank you so much for Skybound being in chat today and answering all of our questions. We really appreciate it whenever publishers show up to talk with everybody and kind of inform us if we're missing anything on a game. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So, next up, we have Scarface 1920. This is by Redzen Games. This is a first-time creator. It's for 1 to 4 players. It's going to last about 90 to 150 minutes. This is, of course, during the Prohibition era, and you're going to be playing as gangsters trying to sell booze,
Wow, you make it sound...
put up some brothels, be a general
This is a
mobster
time-
bad guy.
This is a period in American history
Oh, man.
that started all organized crime.
Okay.
Like, serious organized crime did not exist till Prohibition.
Okay.
They thought, you know what, we're going to outlaw alcohol. And all that did was push groups of people to form organized crime. Like the mafia didn't really exist the way that it did during this.
Okay.
So the different gangs and groups that got together because of Prohibition, and the fact that Prohibition didn't really stop anybody from drinking. People were still drinking all the time. Mm-hmm. But this is the rise of organized crime, which is, you know, for some people, like, some people really like that French romantic era when there was, like, Marie Antoinette. To other people like me, this is the romantic era of driving around in Model Ts.
Gangster era.
Right. If you ever wanted to be a gangster, like in the good old days, as they say, this was the time. I mean, look at Capone. Look at him. That son of a bee. So, yeah, it's interesting, right? This is the Bonnie and Clyde time. This is the time we had Elliot Ness running around. He was uncorruptible, as far as we know. This is an interesting... Yeah, this is a really interesting game because it's got like some deck building. You've got area control. You've got worker placement as part of the area control. You're upgrading things. This game reminds me the most of Path of Light and Shadow, which we played recently.
Really?
Because you've got some deck building. Now the deck building is lighter in this.
Okay.
But where you are, you can like upgrade your areas into like nightclubs, which is going to give you more stats, right?
Okay.
You've got your little player board, which you can upgrade. You can upgrade your boss and make it so you have more influence, or you can hire more thugs. Or you can hire more mercenaries. Maybe you can pay off more more of the politicians and the police officers and everything else. It's a pretty in-depth game.
I thought so whenever I was looking at it. I lost my train of thought though. Kabuki came in and I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say about this. It looks amazing. Oh, okay. So I was going to say that as I was watching YouTube today, an ad for this game actually came up on YouTube, which is the first time ever for me, and a board game ad coming up on YouTube.
Okay. I've had it before.
Have you?
It's usually mobile games, though, because there's more money in mobile.
Well, not mobile games. This is the first time I've ever had a board game ad.
I get a lot of mobile game ones.
Right. But have you ever had a board game ad come up on YouTube? Because it was the full, like, playing of the video and everything, and I was surprised. I was like, oh my gosh.
Maybe I'm thinking more of Facebook. I get them on Facebook a lot.
Facebook, yes, but not on YouTube whenever I was watching a video. And I wasn't even watching anything game-based. I was watching a plant video. A video on plants, and this one came up, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And, I mean, it's good that this first-time creator is doing all of that extra marketing and everything on this, but it was just interesting to see it come up. So, as far as the gameplay on this here, I know you said it reminds you of Path and Light and Shadow, but, like, I know
there's almost like some tableau building because you're like forming out your crew.
Okay.
And they're asymmetrical, so they don't all play the same. So like Rothstein's going to play differently than Capone.
Okay.
For example.
Another sort of style of game, not exactly like this, but somewhat in the same field, is kind of like a Narcos, you know? It doesn't have exact same mechanics though, because in Narcos it is more of like a one versus many sort of thing where you have one person.
You're searching for somebody.
Yeah, you're searching for somebody, but you're still, the bad guy is trying to like build up all of their like little cocaine places where they're putting stuff and everything.
So you're saying the bad guy in Narcos plays, like you feel like might play similar to like how this game
right,
plays.
and so there were also other things though that came along with Narcos, and the fact that if this game is based upon prohibition and you're putting down brothel houses and stuff like that, is this a game you're going to play with everybody? Does that make sense?
I think the art will help with that.
Okay.
Because they didn't go for like a gritty art. I mean, look at the art on it. It's, for the most part, it's kind of characterized.
Okay.
It's from like the 1920s. So for the most part, nobody's really like super connected to that time where people are like, oh man, my grandma told me about Prohibition and how bad it was. You know, I think, but I also think it's not meant to be played with like, you know, I'm not going to play with a 5-year-old probably.
You're not going to invite your 5-year-old to the table and be like,
you could play this.
Get those brothels down.
You could play this with a lot more people than you could play something like Narcos, which is 100% about like cocaine and trade and everything else. Because alcohol's not illegal now.
Different than
right. Well,
yeah.
Alcohol's not illegal. Most people are pretty okay with it. Most people are, you know, drink in some way, shape, or form, or know people who drink or are okay with it.
While you're playing the game. Chicken and brothels. It's a new type of. It's a new type of fast food chain, okay?
Petter was born in the 1920s. He remembers it like it was yesterday. So I think you can get away with it a little bit more than you could with some of the other themes.
So Jay Peter says, I tend to be more leery of first-time creators, and I think that it's important to look into things more with first-time creators and kind of see where they're at, if they've been doing other things in the game industry and stuff, which is really important, which these people have. So the designers on this are Tony, and I apologize, like the last name is Seredfrom, and Daniel Simon, and Tony has made a whole bunch of different games, so the designer is pretty well known, and I'm not for sure if Tony's the one that also owns the company or not. I'm not for sure on that. The game is a little pricey, so Martin Gardner says the game is pricey, but I'm also worried that it might be trying too much and end up bloated, because the starting price for this is $119 for this.
And if you don't get the little crates that has the little barrels and guns in it, then you're just not.
You're not doing Kickstarter right.
Why would you? I can't see like not getting that, right? I can't see not getting that add-on with the little fake guns and the little barrels. I wish the guns were more like, you know, Tommy guns or something, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, the components in this are incredibly cute with everything.
Plus, I mean, there's a video of Jesse in like a vest, so that's a thing.
Jesse in a vest.
Yeah.
Was that it? That was it
Just
for you?
a vest.
Jesse in a vest. Just the vest.
It was just Jesse in a vest. No, there are some gameplay videos of this. So I think it's one of those things. I think the theme will throw some people off. The theme doesn't hurt me.
Okay.
Right? Because I watched, like, I enjoyed, like, Boardwalk Empire.
Like, that's
I
your
watched
thing.
that. And
Yeah.
I watched, like, Peaky Blinders. And so I don't mind it as much because it's, like, far enough removed that it's, like, an abstract idea to me to a certain degree in a way that's not bad. So I don't mind this. It doesn't bother me the theme-wise. I was worried that the theme of this would be almost a no-go for you, though. Because I can tell you just are not into the theme at all.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I think you would like this game a lot, but I think the theme will throw you off.
Romanticized theme for me. It isn't a romanticized theme for me. Although
you never wanted to start up a small gang and rule the streets, protect your corner, slap guys around. You've never wanted to do that?
No.
You've never wanted to walk into a place and throw money down on the table and everyone knows who you are? Or you look at somebody and you point at them and then that person gets drug out of the club?
The problem is I don't want people to know who I am because I'm like the sneaky person. This is the same. This is how we played paintball. So you would be the person that goes out front and you go, look at me, I'm Dr. Gloryhogg. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew.
I want to be clear. I never yelled out my name while playing paintball, ever.
I
haven't played
the
paintball in
person
like 10 years.
that would scoot around the side and come around the back and then murderize people from the back. So like you fit this sort of like gang boss, high roller, throwing out money.
You've got Rothstein, who's like this rich guy that used to he fixed the World Series and stuff. And you had Capone, who's like famous, right? You walk around, I'm Al Capone, right? So he's walking around just causing shenanigans. And then here's you, you're like, I just want to be the assassin of the night.
Yeah, I just want to be the assassin
a worker.
of the night.
I want to be a boss.
Assassins make good money, and they're very powerful. You don't mess with the assassin. You hire the assassin, then you don't insult the assassin, okay? Because that's how John Wick gets started. You know?
I have yelled pew pew while playing paintball. Just
lasers.
Okay, so I was worried that the theme would throw you off, and I could see the theme throwing some people off, but I think it is stylized enough with the art that it would throw off less people than if they tried to make it real and gritty.
I do like the board though, and how you do upgrade your character as you go through, and then I do like this particular thing, and you unlock things on the board, and it shows you. Yeah, I do like that portion of it a lot.
Here's the biggest thing. I think though, it is super expensive.
It is super expensive.
It's super expensive because they did so many miniatures. There's miniatures for the cars. There's miniatures for the houses.
Which is amazing.
For the different crews. There's miniatures for the boss, of course. I think if they would have just done like a little bit less miniatures, they could have saved on the price, and that would have enticed more people. But if you're, like I said, this is kind of like Rococo, right? There's a difference between Rococo and Rococo Deluxe. This is like really just adding the little things to it. So if you're going for a premium board game experience, this would be the one. And this would give you an excuse to sit around drinking bourbon the whole time.
No Sassin the Assassin, says Battle Cry.
Do you understand what I just said to you?
I do.
Okay.
You said bourbon, and so I get that. You could sit around drinking bourbon, and you just want, and then you pretend you're like a gang boss.
I would have my Shirley Temples and my candy cigarettes while we play this.
And your candy cigarettes, yes.
Hey, I like sweet stuff. That doesn't make me less of a man.
Yes.
I like candy.
You blow through them and a little puff of smoke comes out?
Yes. So I would have my candy cigarettes and I would have my Shirley Temples, and we can play this game.
All the cards have different artwork as well, so that's a lot of artwork as well. Okay,
right.
so
The miniatures are the same. So like your lieutenant, I think, looks the same no matter which side you're playing. You know, so there is that. So they did reuse some of the miniature sculpts, but there was like a decent amount of miniatures in this.
This is the price that it is for a very important reason, because of all the stuff that they put into this with the artwork and the miniatures and everything. I can understand why the price is there. But for me, I think since
you don't like the theme in general?
Right. I think I would have to try it and make sure that I really, really liked what I was getting. Because if I like the mechanics and everything that's going on, I'm like, oh yeah, like, then I can do this. But for me, I think the theme takes away a little bit for me.
Okay, that's fair.
You know?
I was worried about that. I thought it would be something you'd have to play first before you could get into it. Right? Like, I'm more interested in it, but the theme does hold me back because I know that's going to be an issue for you. Like, I knew that was going to be an issue. I like that they stuck to the violent side, you know?
The German excuses for drinks is it's past 4 p.m. So that's why I like the European countries, okay?
I mean, you got some did you see that you got like kind of like different choices to make whenever you do like these jobs, like a bank robbery or missing witness? Like you have different things you kind of have to pick?
It's incredibly cool. I like this portion of it too. It looks really cool.
It's just the theme.
I'll give that to them. I think it's just, for me, the theme. I think if you're interested in these types of games, that you should probably... If you are interested in helping first-time creators and stuff like that, and you're interested in the theme, that this would be a fantastic place to start. And just know that since it is a first-time creator, that it's going to probably get to the market a little bit slower, especially with all the minis.
I don't understand how people can care more about theme than about the mechanics.
Oh,
I'm a mechanics guy myself. All right, that's a lie. I'm not. And Elliot Ness chases you down the track too. So if you're doing too much stuff, Elliot Ness can like chase you.
And you get a raid. You get a raid.
You have to spend money to pay people off or go to jail and like all kinds of stuff.
It's very thematic.
You might lose thugs off the board and everything.
So
it's very interactive. Who
in chat is backing this game? I'm curious to see who our thugs are and our mob bosses in chat today.
I am curious. Like Jay Peter said, will you get a better deal at retail? I think there's a few people that have said that they're going to wait for the retail version, which might be standees and stuff instead. But if it saves you a lot of money, there's something to be said about that, right? Like, I like miniatures in games in general. I don't know if these miniatures are as needed.
So, okay, Joe Ferguson says back. Martin Gardner says, on the fence. Martin, why are you on the fence? I'm curious as to the specific thing that you feel like holding you back.
Explain yourself, Martin.
Well, no, I'm just really curious. Like, our whole Kickstarter show is all about getting feedback from the community, and so I'm always curious to see what all of you have to say out there with everything. So,
I think this is a game.
Vito says backed. Battlecry says pass.
Jolly says no. I think this is one of those games, it kind of reminds me of, what was that other Command game that was actually supposedly pretty good, but like nobody played? What was it?
Which one?
Wow. It wasn't Narcos.
They make so many games.
Godfather. The Godfather.
Okay.
I've had so many people tell me that game is good, but nobody played it because I think the theme threw people off.
Okay.
Right? And there's like a Peaky Blinders game and stuff too. I think this theme would throw people off. I think a lot of people would be more into it once they actually play it. Okay. I have a feeling this is where that game is going to be.
Okay, so Martin says, I'm not sure how often I would see it at the table, and given the price, that's worth 1 to 2 other games.
So I was thinking a little bit about price and everything, right? Because I was saying to myself, wow, this seems expensive, which is my biggest hang up, right? I'm like, oh, it's like $120-something to start off with. And I was like, I wouldn't spend that much, but I spent, that much on Dwellings, for example. But the difference is, with Dwellings, I've already played it like 7 times. So like each time I played it, it's cost me like $14 or something. Okay. So it doesn't seem too bad. And I'm going to play it more, too. So I'm trying to think about that. How many times are you going to play it? And how does that change the price of something, right? So something like The Crew, where it's like $20 and you play it 100 times, you're like, man, I'm paying cents to play this game. Yeah. If you really want to think about it that way. Some of these games, if they're exciting enough, you can play them a lot. And so then, like, the overall price doesn't seem as bad, right? So I think the price, though, is what's going to stop most people. The price or the theme. I think that's what's hurting it. I think this could be, with a slightly different theme, this might be an even bigger
game. Like, if it was set as a steampunk-style game in Chicago and not real life?
I'm fine
then
with
it would be
yeah.
100% better.
What if it was orcs? What if this was orcs and Prohibition?
Orcs and Prohibition? Like orcs taking over the
town?
town?
And it was like elf blood or
Some
something is what
gangsters?
they were banned
Gross.
from selling.
Gross.
Oh, you like elves, huh?
Ew,
are
doctor,
gross.
no, that's worse. How did you make that worse?
I don't care about elves.
I'm going to say on this one here, I would love to try before I buy, because there's a lot of really great mechanics in
That
this
you
game
like.
here that I like. But I just, because of the theme, I don't know how often I would play this. And it's still in that longer game, sort of 90 to 150 minutes. So you are going to be sitting there playing it for a little while. Doctor, what do you think? Chat? Oh, we already talked to chat about it.
I would back this one.
You back this
I
one?
think so, yeah.
What's your burrito, though? What are we spending our burrito money on, everyone?
I think
If you could back one game this week, if it's one we mentioned or not, what are you spending your Chipotle burrito money on? Because you can either eat delicious, delicious Chipotle burritos on a date night with your family, or you can play a game. That's kind of how it goes with Kickstarter.
wow, you're making it sound. Not everybody has to make that choice. Jeez.
Oh, that's just us making that choice?
Yeah, and we're still gonna get the Chipotle. so.
We're still getting the Chipotle? Oh my gosh.
I think that the Scarface one is going to be interesting and different than other games we have currently, because it is a good hybrid game with a mix of different things that we like.
Okay.
But I think that we both like the Valor and Villainy enough that that would be my pick, I think. Because I think you would play Valor and Villainy more. We would play that more with the kid. I think I'd have to go with Valor and Villainy on this one.
The only thing with us getting Valor and Villainy is the fact that we still have Gloomhaven, we have Frosthaven on the way, we have things like...
Journeys through Middle-earth.
Yeah. We got a lot of those types of games.
Aquaphobia. Lost Station in Space.
We got a lot of
Campaign
campaign-based games.
We have probably more than that, too.
How dare you?
When we looked, we got Forgotten Waters.
That's right.
When I looked at the campaigns
Everyone,
we
we need to play more games.
when I looked at our campaign games, it was like the longest list. I think we had more campaign games than any other single style. More than deck builders, more than area control. It was a lot.
So Jay Peter says, do you lose the game if you get busted by the IRS? I don't know, but maybe in that game.
does show up.
Using my stroganoff on Lludwik's Labyrinth. That's a good one. I'm super down because Chipotle is garbage. What? I love Chipotle. How dare you? Siege 6 and Lludwik's Labyrinth have my money, says Jay Peters.
Fair.
I would use my burrito for more burrito money than Kickstarter,
Jolly
says
Lumpy is
Zito.
going for Lludwik, which is the Valor and Villainy, and Forest.
Raphael says, I love the immersion in this game. Better a realistic theme than another steampunk zombie space dungeon thing
fair.
for me. Ooh, so you are a lover of the
Like realistic.
yeah,
time
realistic
period.
sort of style games. Then does that mean that you really love Siege 6 then as well? Curious, Raphael.
They're
Let's see
completely
here.
different times, though. Too.
Right, but still,
One's
it's more
modern,
of a
one's
realistic
past.
style game, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Valor and Villainy. Even though we have all those other ones, I feel like Valor and Villainy will be... I like the silliness. If you can make a game silly, I'm going to
But
love it
still
more.
fun.
That's why I love Munchkin so much, everyone. I know Munchkin is like a super hot, debatable thing for people. People either love it or they hate it, but Munchkin is so much fun to play because it is so silly. I always feel like whenever I'm reading different cards or putting things together, there's always something to laugh about, and that's the only time I like fun in my games, if it's funny.
Here's the deal. If you go into Munchkin like you're playing as Loki, the god of mischief, or as like the Joker for DC fans, and you're not going in there to win, you're going in there just to cause as much chaos as you
Mayhem.
can and see how much ridiculous crap you can get
Mayhem.
away with. It is a lot of fun. If you go in to win, not so much.
Yeah, you're not there to necessarily
Because then you get
win.
mad when people do stuff to you. I want to do ridiculous things. I want to be riding on top of a tiger and have like a chainsaw arm and like 3 helmets on because like it's extra protection because I cheated and I have like multiple helmets on.
And you can just imagine all that
Just
like taking
ridiculousness.
place, right? I think that in Valor and Villainy, how they had, for the Kickstarter backers, they had that little XP chest. They need like an XP mimic that they have for the backers, you know? Like, and then it, same chest, and you put all your XP in there, but it's a mimic.
That'd be
That's
cool.
what we need in our lives, okay?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Al Capone looks silly in that pose. Really? Oh, I didn't notice. Let's see here. Go Doc, that's the way to do it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you are new to our channel, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Perhaps like and subscribe to our channel. Ring that bell so you get notified whenever we go live, because we do at least 2 shows a week live.
Join the pack. Get on Discord.
Absolutely. There's a ton of people that we end up we can just take the whole conversation that we're having right now in chat, and then we're just going to go over to Discord and be like, whoops, right in there. And you get all sorts of cool stuff from Dr. Gloryhogg in chat. Like, you get to know about more stuff that's going on in our lives. Also,
talk about the games we're playing and stuff a lot there, for sure.
I know that I've been playing Petter in
Railroad Inc.
So if you're interested in that, I'm Gloryhound on there. So go ahead and look that up. I would love to play Railroad Inc. with you, because I'm just basically continually playing. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Kyle Price. Thanks.
I got very
thanks
confused by that. I saw like a big
what?
graphic on there, and I was like, what is that? That's when you know you're a professional YouTuber. When
you get
the sight of the subscriber is so new and foreign to you, you're like, what is that? And actually, by the way, we are really close to 2,000 subscribers, which is when we're going to give away Merchant's Cove.
That's right. We got an extra copy of Merchant's Cove and some other cool stuff, so make sure and share everything. Do the things, all the stuff. You guys know what to do.
Go to Discord, and Fatal Paper Cut will tell you about every single miniature market sale and every single time Steam has a sale.
If you need sales, come to our Discord.
Sales.
Right? Thank you for everybody hanging out with us today. We will see all of you and your lovely faces later. Bye.